Hello and welcome to the latest episode of This Week in British History with me, Philippa Lacey Brewell. If you love British history, then you are definitely in the right place, so do please go ahead and subscribe. Now, I release new episodes every week, as you probably know by now. Now, if you can't wait that long, please come and find me on Facebook, Instagram or Pinterest. The links are in the show notes. This week, Stonehenge is saved. The head of the UK government moves into Downing Street for the first time. The Battle of Stamford Bridge sees Harold Godwinson's army tired and a long way from where they need to be. The Queen Mary is launched and London sees Europe's first mechanical walkway. Before I get started, quickly but a huge thank you to those of you who've donated to this channel within the last week since I asked basically for donations if you feel that you are able. It helps me continue to create free content during this year where I can't actually operate my business. So if you are enjoying the videos and you feel like you can put your hand in your pocket, no matter how small, I accept it with gratitude, and you will receive a personal thank you from me just to show you how much I do appreciate your generosity. This week we're covering events which happened between the 21st and the 27th of September. On the 21st of September 1915, a man called Cecil Chubb bought Stonehenge for £6,600. Stonehenge and 30 acres of adjoining land came up for auction of the Atrobus family assets following the death of Sir Edward Atrobus in one of the first battles of the First World War. He died in October 1914. The man who bought it was a wealthy barrister called Cecil Chubb. His wife thought he was going along to the auction to buy her a pair of curtains, so when he came back with a Stonehenge monument and 30 acres of land, equating to something like a spend of around £700,000 in today's money, she wasn't best pleased. Chubb was a self-made man. He had grown up near to Stonehenge in humble beginnings. His father was a saddle maker and he had attended school. He'd worked as a trainee teacher for part of his life, but he managed to get to Cambridge. He qualified as a barrister and made his fortune. He may have bought Stonehenge in order to protect it, because before the end of World War I, in fact 16 days before Armistice Day, he handed over Stonehenge to the nation as a gift. In the deed of gift, Chubb had a clause put in there which said that the people could access the site but would never have to pay more than a shilling. In a separate agreement with the parish council, local people could access the site for free. We have to pay slightly more than a shilling to get in to see Stonehenge today. It's run by English Heritage and therefore protected for us and for future generations. The Prime Minister at the time of Chubb's gift, Prime Minister David Lloyd George, recognised Cecil Chubb's generosity and he made him Sir Cecil Chubb, 1st Baronet of Stonehenge. On the 22nd of September 1735, Robert Walpole, First Lord of the Treasury, moved in to number 10 Downing Street. At the time, the term Prime Minister wasn't used, it wasn't recognised until a bit later, so the letterbox on number 10 still says First Lord of the Treasury. George II gifted Downing Street to Robert Walpole, his First Lord of the Treasury, but Robert Walpole agreed to this on two conditions. One, that it was left to the nation and not to him personally, and two, that he was allowed to extend. Now, Downing Street is a side street, effectively, off Whitehall, but it does back on to Horse Guards Parade. So there was opportunity there to have a more ceremonial, sort of grander entrance off Horse Guards Parade, but Robert Walpole decided not to do that. He wanted a more discreet entrance and exit, and also Downing Street is on the side of Houses of Parliament, so it's just practical. Now, we all know about the Battle of Hastings of 1066, but what about the Battle of Stamford Bridge? Well, this is the one that on the 25th of September took place and took Harold Godwinson's army all the way up north. King Harald Hardrado, the Viking king of Norway, and Harold Godwinson's own brother Tostig, who had defected to the enemy's side when he became disgruntled with the fact that his title had been taken off in the previous year, had invaded the north of England. They had brought over 300 ships with between 7,000 and 9,000 men and had beaten the English at York. King Harold at this time was in the south expecting an invasion at any time from William of Normandy. But on hearing of the Norwegian invasion up north, he embarked on an incredible feat. He got his army from the south of England to the north of England in 4 days. That element of surprise would be key. Although King Harold knew that the Norwegian forces had taken York and had kept hostages, he had heard that they were camped out at Stamford Bridge. The English forces of King Harold reached Stamford Bridge and caught the Norwegian army unready. The Norwegian army managed to retreat in the direction of their ships with their weapons but with no armour. Once they were at the other side of Stamford Bridge, they could organise themselves. The bridge provided a choke point, and so the Norwegian army were able to organise, but against an armoured, organised, weaponised army that the English were, they could not prevail. The Norwegian army was decimated, and Hardrada and Tostig among their dead. After the battle, there were only enough Norwegian men to man 25 of the original 300 ships. All of them had been made to swear an oath never to attack England again. There was no time to rest though for King Harold, who had to turn his army south again because William of Normandy was about to invade. Now for a bit of luxury. The 26th of September 1934, and the liner the Queen Mary was launched. The naming and launching ceremony took place at the John Brown shipyard on the Clyde, just outside Glasgow. A portion of the river there had to be made wider just to accommodate her. She was launched in 1934 and then, after being fitted out, made her maiden voyage in 1936. Liners at this time were competing not only on luxury but on the speed at which they could get passengers over the Atlantic. The Blue Ribbon Award for the fastest transatlantic crossing was swapped between the Queen Mary and her French rival, the Normandy. The Queen Mary had 2 indoor swimming pools, beauty salons, libraries, lecture theatres, child nurseries, dog kennels, phone connectivity to anywhere in the world. This is 1936. Incredible. But what I find most fascinating is that in the cabin class or first class dining room, there was a map on the wall which showed the route that the ship would be taking in the sort of winter months and that it would be taking in the summer months. And then there was a mechanised little boat which would show where she was on her journey. The Queen Mary welcomed aboard many names that you'll recognise from the era: Fred Astaire, Winston Churchill, Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother, Clark Gable, Judy Garland, Audrey Hepburn, the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, Elizabeth Taylor and Walt Disney, to name a few. 1939 saw the outbreak of World War II and Queen Mary became a troop ship. On one voyage she took almost 16,000 troops and almost 1,000 crew, giving her the standing record for the most number of people ever transported on one vessel. The Queen Mary was retired from service in 1967 and was moored as a tourist attraction off Long Beach in California. Now for our final story this week. The 27th of September 1960 saw the installation of the first moving pavement in Europe. It was installed at Bank Station in London. Although plans for a moving pavement had been drawn up in 1903 for Bank Station, which would have made it the world's first moving pavement, it didn't occur till 1960, and by that point there had already been one built for an expo in America. Construction had started in June 1957, but an economic crisis in the December of that year brought work to a standstill. It took a further 2 years to open in 1960. The idea of the moving walkway was to get passengers from the platform to street level quicker, because the platforms weren't emptying before the next train would come in, so overcrowding was a big problem. It was taking on average 10 minutes to get people from the platform to street level. After the installation, it took 4 minutes. The moving walkway, although nicknamed the Travelator, its official name was actually Trav-O-Lator, which was an official registered brand name owned by the Otis Elevator Company, and it was this model that was installed at Bank Station. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope you've enjoyed that. Please do click subscribe, share this episode wherever you are watching or listening to it to friends so that we can help spread the word about this channel and help get history lovers involved. So until next week, have fun, take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon.